I do trance channeling, and I specifically do automatic writing, which is writing from a trance state. And what I do is I enter the Akashic records and I do the automatic writing and receive messages. And if you want to look up, what all that means online, I'm sure you can find stuff there. But I wanted to jump right in and share some of these messages with you. So I was asking about why is the world going through what we're going through at this time? What's the meaning? What's our role in it? And what we can do to exit it, but also to make the most of the healing that's being offered at this time. So I'm going to share some of the messages. I see you struggling and making peace with all that is disturbing you, all that's disturbing you in your heart and in your environment internally and in your environment externally. There's no doubt that this is suffering and that it must and will end, and it's a matter of cosmic timing. So what needs to happen first is we're going through a process that they were calling the Great Awakening. And the Great Awakening process is, they were showing me like a quartz crystal. Those are those white crystals. And what it is it's that intense, it's very clear, but there's an intense geometric design and structure to it. And the reason why crystals are so powerful is because they concentrate a certain vibration or a certain energy. And so this is what we're going through right now, is a type of purification process. It's an energetic clearing process, but at the same time as it being a clearing process, it's also a focusing process to get us onto like that quartz crystal higher vibration. So I do energy healing. I do somatic movement therapy. I've spent a lot of my life studying dance and studying martial arts and working with doing body work and healings. And I've always been a student, deciding and observing how energy works and how it's felt and conveyed. And also I work a lot with the body. So these messages that come to me usually focus through the body and through energy. And so that's what I have as my gift to share with you, which I do so very happily. So what they were explaining to me of what's happening right now is that we're going through a syncope. A syncope is a medical term, which is basically what happens when you faint. So what it is it's when the blood flow constricts, and when the blood flow constricts, it basically shuts the body off, and then the body faints. And then while the body has fainted, it turns off all your voluntary actions and flips you into an involuntary mode. And then when you're in an involuntary mode, everything can flow, and then you get into a process of homeostasis, which is basically a rebalancing of your body energy. So that is what's happening on a global scale, even cosmic scale, is that there's been a restriction to stop everything so that things can be flipped into a different mode so that things could start to flow in better balance for the whole. So I hope that makes sense. What they were saying is a synchronized constriction to restrict blood flow in order to restore the balance to the whole body. What happens is you have waves of shock which shut you down so that the ebb and flow can return to harmonize the entire body, and therefore you may return to consciousness. So this is all suggesting that we are going through this process to rebalance, and that we'll be able to come to a different state of consciousness once we basically awaken. And, they are calling this the Great Awakening. So that is the big picture of what's happening. So there's a transportation and a moving forward, or more accurately, a being carried forward. The head, the heart are connecting together, and there's basically a draining of energy from the lower chakras and a surging in of energy from the higher chakras. So from the heart chakra, actually maybe even like a little bit solar plexus, but mostly heart chakra, throat, third eye and crown, which is above your head, those areas of your etheric body and also your physical body right now are acting as a beacon to receive energy. There has been several different astrological influences recently, one of which was the retrogrades that are going on. If you don't know, all the planets, well, not all of them, but a lot of planets have been in retrograde. There have also been a series of eclipses. So during these cosmic activities, what's been happening is that there have been vortices or vortexes that have opened, and some of them are meant to emit energy that we are then receiving. So if you've had any weird things, like you've woken up in the middle of the night and felt heat above your head, or felt like somebody was touching you at your chest, or had any kind of weird experiences where you felt energetically like somebody was touching you but nobody was there, that probably has to do with these light pulsations that have been emitted on a cosmic level to come into our body, and we've been beacons to basically upgrade to this higher vibrational energy. And likewise, at the same time, the lower chakras, including particularly the sacral chakra and the root chakra, chakras 1 and 2, there's also vortices that are pulling energy out and basically sucking it up in a way, and therefore balancing the energy of the body. So there's been a lot of energetic shifts happening within the body with receiving energy and purging energy. And this is probably why a lot of people have been tired. I don't know about you, but I've been very exhausted through this period, and I do have to rest quite often. So that could be one of the reasons why we're having to rest, is because literally our energetic bodies have been being shifted on cellularly, like in our actual bodies, but also energetically. So this is all happening to shift the consciousness forward. And this is like a rite of passage, such as somebody coming of age or getting married, or any type of rite of passage that you might go through. This is a rite of passage globally for everybody to get to the next stage, which is the Great Awakening, or going through the Great Awakening to get to the next stage, which I will talk about in a moment. So part of what is going on with the rebalancing of energy is they were explaining to me the stream of collective consciousness, and they were saying how that stream of collective consciousness has been polluted and it needs to be cleaned. And this has to do with looking at all the power struggles that are happening right now, and the restrictions, and basically the stories you tell yourself in your own life, the narratives that you see historically and how they play out in contemporary life. So it has to do with basically letting the past be the past and moving past these old narratives or old ways of being, what you carry forward ancestrally from your own ancestors through to today, but also that we are all interconnected in what we carry through collectively as our collective history. And that is also being looked at and reflected upon, so that we can again move forward, and not just move forward in general, but move forward for the good of all. Okay, so there's a cosmic shift and a cosmic realignment, and we are all energetic light beings, and some of them through this period of time are being called back to source. Unfortunately, some people are passing over, other people are having great challenges. And during this time, why that is because there's a cleansing of the head, heart, throat, and crown chakras, and a release and a purge of pelvic chakras, particularly the root and sacral chakras. And what this is about purging old energy and birthing new energy simultaneously. So it's the idea of pulling energy in and pushing energy out. And the only thing they didn't talk about originally was the solar plexus chakra. So I went back into the Akashic records and asked about the solar plexus chakra. And it said that the solar plexus chakra is being activated during the eclipses. And the activation is for personal power, to activate personal power and to be able to, in conjunction with the retrogrades, to reflect on our karmic and spiritual bonds in order to create personal freedom so that we can move forward on our own personal level and then therefore move forward together as a group, because it will take healing on a personal level for each and every single individual person, healing on a personal level so that healing on a larger scale can happen. That's the only way it's going to happen. And so during this shift in cellular consciousness, there's something happening being called the grand clearing, and that's what I've been talking about, where the energies have been clearing and balancing, and that has to happen before the Great Awakening can happen. So I believe that some people are going through a clearing and some people are going through awakening, and then it might flip-flops, and some people might go through some clearing and then awakening. I feel like we're all going through the same thing, but not all exactly at the same time right now. And what this whole period is about is a return to truth, a return to purity, a return to power, and a return to respecting and harmonizing with natural life, being in harmony with the earth, in harmony with the plants, in harmony with all bodies of water, in harmony with sun and moon phases and rhythms. And what this is like is being in harmony with the blood flow of the earth, and therefore the blood flow of the body and the blood flow of society, so that everything is moving and flowing beautifully. And then that way we can actually move forward, because right now, or previously to this moment, there was a little bit of a block and kind of like a buildup. So now this is sort of like that surge of movement, like coming forward. So we are meant to propel and project forward at this time as part of the cosmic plan for us. And what has to happen is we stop. Showing me as arrows going in several different directions. So we're meant to stop. And through these retrogrades, we're to look back and reflect. Look back and reflect on the past. Look back at all these narratives and these histories and what you have learned and what you've told yourself. And then we're also meant to be projecting into the future to reimagine new ways of being, imagining a positive future, positive timelines, just putting in the effort to see things as playing out differently and for a more harmonic outcome in the future. And then at the same time, we're going through a process of involution and pulling energy in and really coming into ourselves. And we're going through a process of evolution, because everybody is spiritually stepping forward, whether they want to or not at this time. Okay, so you have that movement happening in all directions, inwards, outwards, side, up, down, etc. And then we have this concept of entering into the Shadowlands, so going into areas where we previously were not bringing things into consciousness. So we're going into the Shadowlands, seeing what's going on in the shadow spaces and in the darkness for ourselves and for society, and then we're bringing light in there to basically open us so that we can make passage through the Shadowlands and into a period that they're calling the light period or the golden period. And during the golden period, the whole point is that light and dark energies will be cosmically balanced. Now, we have not been cosmically balanced. We don't even know what balance is, because we have been in a time that has been filled with more fear, anxiety, self-doubt, competition. We've been part of such negativity that we don't even know what it's like to be balanced with such bright light, with self-love, unconditional love, acceptance, joy, happiness, fulfillment. So what this whole push is pushing us towards is this golden period, and in this golden period there'll be more of a balance between that which is golden, which is that which is light. Okay, so then in the next